Hello everyone, welcome to Rubu Social's first Hangout, and we have Micky Chopra with us to discuss about employer branding, the Rubu Social tweet chat topic which he is a guest host for. Micky Chopra is a HR evangelist with 12 years of experience and right now holds the position at Reaction Software as Vice President of Human Capital Management. So hearty welcome to you, Micky.
Thanks, Ekatma. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. And during our tweet chat, we discussed many things like whose responsibility is employer branding and the role of HRs in CXOs. Also about the impact of social media on employer branding and the organization policies towards it. What is your perspective of employer branding?
Well, I think, see, every organization, be it a startup or a brand, has two entities in common, which is number A, the employees, and number two, the customers. Now, being a potential organization, why would someone actually want to work for you? Or for that matter, why would anyone do business with you? Now, the answers to this question is nothing but your brand value.
Yeah, true that is. The brand value defines everything. What do you think about labeling someone as a brand ambassador of your company?
Well, honestly, tagging any particular individual, I really don't see any need, unless you want to create a sense of disconnect amongst the employees. I rather believe in, it's about go together or go externally. You look at the example set by, the Gujarat government. It was very easy for them to rope in PM Modi, being someone who is actually belong to Gujarat. But then again, he's not the brand ambassador of Gujarat. Is this Mr. Amitabh Bachchan? So yes, I firmly believe this is about going together, go externally, and the simple reason behind that. That mindset is whosoever is working in an organization has some brand value, and it intentionally or unintentionally helps in creating a employer brand. So unnecessary labeling someone as the brand ambassador will only create a ripple effect.
Yeah, true that is. So looking at the answers to question one, which we did in the tweet chat, everyone have almost agreed with every employee is responsible for employer branding, which you mentioned here, while shouldering a little more to heads and managers, responsibilities and all. What's your take on it?
Well, see, branding is not about reaching a particular destination. It's just rather a journey to reach a certain level of credibility. So, every individual or say as a team has his or her own context to employer branding. You ask an HR, he thinks from the perspective of cultures and the values. Then you go to the sales team, sales or marketing, they probably think from the perspective of products and the services. And, similarly, going to the thought leadership group, they might mix the two. So, every individual, has their own context to employer branding. So it's about, going together. It's about, everyone in an organization has some responsibility to employer branding.
Yeah, there's a saying that branding is something which is too small to leave onto one department. So everyone is
Absolutely.
responsible. Yeah.
Yes, yes, very true.
Yeah. So now, what are the responsibilities of HR in employer branding?
HR probably the most critical, and they are the responsible. They are the team who are responsible for creating the context. At a very first place. Just to going by the numbers, more than 50% of the candidates backed out on offer last year. Which is a huge number, and when if it is applicable for startup, it is particularly the disconnect between an organization and a prospective candidate. So whatever people have experienced, they will share. And actually, it's more worse than that. Many times they will share on the perception as well. So hence the role of HR becomes the most critical, being the face of an organization, and the kind of an engagement they are able to carry without, with the outside community is what defines, the HROs in terms of creating a brand value.
Yeah, I understand. So, what steps do you suggest CXOs to take to build the employer branding internally and externally? And because the CXOs are the leaders of the company, and what
Right.
does Indian companies need to work more towards it?
So it's just a three-way tug of war between HR, marketing, and the CXO or the thought leadership. About whose responsibility is employee branding. And
Yeah,
every three of them will definitely work on to pass the buck to the other team. But anyway, jokes apart, being the leaders of the thought leadership group, they often get engaged to the external external commitments of branding. But however, it is also very important to understand that CXO's interaction with the complete group normally sets the employee engagement as well as the motivation level. So HR leaders definitely need to pull in the CXO, in setting that culture and the values of an organization. Learn from the likes of Mr. Murthy or say Mr. Tata, who have earned that respect as a great engagers, and build in transparency across the complete group rather than, limiting to the leadership level only.
Yeah, everything. And I could even see that Mahindra, who's a CEO of Mahindra Satyam and all, he is a
Hmm.
very good create the
Engager.
engagement internally
Yes,
and externally, both.
very true. Yes.
We talked about organization values in Q4,
Uh-huh.
and we understand that these are the imbibed in every employee and projected to the world. And can you elaborate more on this?
See, branding is nothing but directly proportional to organization culture and values. People join organizations, based on, what they get from the cultures and the values. So many organizations do lay fancy, vision and the mission statements. But the question is, are they doing enough, on the intent and the execution part? That is what, which defines the brand of an organization. Yes, we are smart enough to understand that happy employees build happy customers, but then again, I think it's time to believe that your employees are your first customers.
Yes, yes. That's a HCL policy also, I guess. The first employee first and the customer next.
Right.
And coming to the policies, I totally agree that defining policies or guidelines will give better understanding and importance of branding for employees. What do you think or suggest on do's and don'ts while an organization crafting them?
Obviously, you cannot lay down policies, for anything and everything, especially here where most of the branding is done from the word of mouth. But probably, yes, certain guidelines will be good enough to limit the negativity, if any. Again, and as I said, like focus on the intent and the context first, and try to build policies around creating a candidate and the employee experience.
Yeah. So, as the employees are on the race to create their employer branding, do you think it is a challenge for the companies to motivate their employees to represent the company and be its brand advocates, especially for the Indian companies?
Brand advocates, that's a fancy name. But then again, with every challenge comes an opportunity. And in fact, there have been a revolution in the space of employee engagement as well as the branding, initiatives from the last couple of years now. Many organizations have started to invest handsomely, in those activities. But then again, how many organizations are actually willing to brand their employees as advocates to the outside community? That is definitely a challenge. And one of the challenging aspect to that is many organizations think from the perspective of employees getting poached, to the competitors. So as I said, like, it's just all about, how, what is the intent behind creating your brand, or what are the cultures and the values that will automatically, creates your brand, and you have everything to gain rather than to lose.
Yeah, true that is. So, finally, the last question: what are your tips on leveraging social media platforms to establish employer branding?
Probably you need to ask a social media guru. I'm just an enthusiast and a starter to social media. But then couple of things, which comes to my mind is, many smart organization, do recommend social media. But then again, they will be the first people, who have an access denied feature enabled, for the employees at a workplace, for the access of social media. So organization needs to understand, that is clearly no approach, when they talk about social media, rather than, engage your people, using their networks to brand your organization. The second thing which comes to me is why don't you involve employees in your social media campaigns? Don't keep it to a specific team, to do a campaign for your organization. Why don't you pull in anyone ABC, from the floor, and engage them in some campaigns, that will create a positivity, from the social media aspect as well. And then again, you have to eliminate the context of ROI completely, when you talk about the employer branding or an engagement thing.
Yeah, true. That is, it'll be very engaging when we pull some employee out and involve them in the campaigns and make them face the world through social channels of the employer social channels. That's really the good point too
Yeah,
for consumption. Yeah. So great to hear you and giving us much more information again after the tweet chat. Thank you once again for spending your time with us.
pleasure here. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you so much.